Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfries, back with episode 23 of our Reddit series. This one's some more entitled parents, and I know you're gonna love this one. Now just sit back, relax, and laugh at some entitled parents. I'm 15, and I own a 2-in-1 tablet PC. That day, we went to McDonald's with friends. My dad was stuck at a traffic jam, so I needed to wait alone at McDonald's. I used this time to get some work done in Unity game engine. I was making a texture of apple when an entitled kid came up to me and he was looking at what I was doing. After a while, his mum came and took him to another table. I heard something like, "Mum, I want that cool notebook." At this point, I connected headphones because I knew something will happen. So after a while, the entitled mum came to my tablet and she asked if her kid could have my PC. I told her no and she was like, "Oh come on, you don't deserve the PC." So she reached out to the tablet part and started pulling it. Remember, I'm only 15, so I just cannot handle that force. She unsnapped it from the keyboard and hard drive part of the PC and walked away. Luckily, I locked the tablet before she reached out. One of the security guards noticed this and came asking if everything is okay. I told him everything and he asked if I can somehow confirm that I'm the owner of the tablet. I told him I can, so we walked to the mum's table. And this is how the conversation went. The entitled mum says, "What?" And the security guard says, "Is it true that you stole the tablet from this guy?" And she replies with, "No. It's my work tablet and he stole my keyboard." Excuse me? And then he tells her to unlock it. After a few tries, security handed me the tablet and I unlocked it without any problem. When I connected the tablet back to the dock, the hard drive wasn't recognized, so the mum had to pay me €100. That's it. I don't understand people, let alone adults, who think it's okay to walk up to children or any person and think that they own something of theirs. What level of self-importance must you feel to think that the belongings of other people are the belongings of you? In this case though, good on the kid. He's only 15 years old, he stood his ground, he didn't do anything rash, he got the security involved, he did everything perfectly. I'm a college student, and when this occurred, I was going to visit my mum over winter break. Sorry if this story is quite short. I had gotten an aisle seat, which I always prefer since I won't deny I have a small bladder. A woman and her son were sitting next to me. I'll call them Karen and Alex. I'd just gotten into my seat and the two were already there. Alex was in the middle and Karen was by the window. I was about to get settled into my seat and get my sketchbook and earbuds out when Karen looked at me and started talking, which I hate, and is the reason why I always bring earbuds. Alex is a bit squirmy in his seat and appears a bit uncomfortable. Karen tells me this even though I was already aware of the fact. I don't know what she was getting at. She said that Alex might be more comfortable in my seat. I then told her that I had paid for an aisle seat and that's what my ticket said. She said she knew and all that jazz, but her son would be more comfortable in my seat and that he would be less squirmy. I obviously didn't want to give up my aisle seat for the middle because again, that's what I paid for. I then suggested that she could switch spots with Alex if that's what she was worried about. So now, Karen starts to compliment me saying I was thin and small. I won't deny that. I'm 4'11" and try to be fairly healthy. But she said that I would fit in the middle seat better than she would. I again said that I'd paid for this seat and I wasn't planning on moving. She got really frustrated with me, saying that it was for Alex's sake, and I again said that she could move. By now, she was attracting a lot of attention to us, which I don't quite enjoy. In the end, Karen talked to a flight attendant and she got Alex moved to the back where there were 2 empty rows. I got the row to myself. She was lucky that the flight wasn't full. Anyway, that's my story of entitled parents. Hope I never have to deal with them again, although I probably won't get that lucky. The fact that there were 2 free rows at the back really annoys me with this one. I know personally I'm 6'4", the moment I step onto a plane, I'm scoping out everywhere to see where there's free seats so I can get extra legroom. Now I've done a lot of flying, and I can tell you there has never in my life been a time where I have interrupted a stranger and tried to get them to move just for my own well-being. You know why? Because that's just not who I am. But I guess nothing's too good for these entitled parents. So when I was around 13, my friend and I went to the neighborhood pool with my mum. As usual, we set up our towels and other pool supplies at a table. Keep in mind, this was the last table left. We started to spray our sunscreen on when this mum shows up with a toddler and a kid that looked about 9. They walked through the gates and started walking towards our table. Could you move your stuff? Me and my kids need that table, says the entitled mum gesturing towards my mum to move. At this point, me and my friend were just in the pool watching. So my mum tries to kindly explain how she was here first, and the entitled mum looks annoyed and starts rambling. I have 2 kids and I promised we'd go to the pool today. Do you really want me to tell them that we can't go because of you? And my mum stands her ground and says, "Excuse me? I'm here with 2 kids, so you can find another spot or come at a different time." The entitled mum then starts to take our stuff off the table and puts her stuff on it. My mum gets pissed and puts on a grim smile. She yanks their bags off the table and gives the entitled mum her bags. "You and your little monsters can go elsewhere." So the entitled kid starts crying and asks their mum if they're going to be able to go to the pool. The entitled mum then snatches the bag from my mum and takes her kids to the gate and says, "Sorry sweetheart, but we can't go because this lady won't be kind and give up her table." Then she looks back at my mum and guides her brats to the gate and leaves. Honestly, my mum is the god of confrontation. You gotta give props to the kid's mum when the entitled mum was coming at her trying to guilt trip her into giving her the table and she wasn't having a bar of it. I've been to plenty of public pools and you definitely don't need a table. Just put your stuff on the grass, get a nice towel down, get a locker, whatever, you don't need a table. The only person that ruined these kids' days is their own mum. So I'm a lifeguard at my local pool complex and we have 3 pools inside the building, 4 if you include the paddling pool. And the rules for bringing children to the pool is that you must watch them actively if they're under 8 years old, and if they're under 5, the child must be within arm's reach of their parents. The reason we have this rule is to hopefully remove as many possibilities as we can of a child drowning or being injured. Since we lifeguards aren't looking at the same place or one person, we have to watch everyone in the pool. This rule is the only one in the pool that has signs repeating that the parents must watch their kids. But still every now and then I see a young kid struggling to swim, so I ask them as kindly as possible their age and who they are with. Kids are honest, so they tell me truthfully their age, like I'm 6 and point to her dad, who is on their phone texting or even playing games, not watching their child. So I have to get cover from a colleague to cover my position to go and talk to this dad that might not know the rules. When I get the attention of their dad, he glares at me, so I start talking to him about this rule, saying that because the child's under 8 years old, you have to be actively watching her, which means no distractions from phones, books, etc. As soon as I say this, he snaps at me and says, "Oh, she's 8. Which is so annoying because I know that he's lying, just not to watch his own child who can't even swim very well. I explain that the girl has told me she's 6 and she's a weak swimmer, so she does need to be watched for her own safety, to which he replies, "I'm her effing dad. I know how old she is," which is such a bold-faced lie that I can't do anything about. There are so many stories like this of me being verbally abused, I guess because I dared to tell a parent their kid's actual age and that they can't go on a high-risk activity. This has got to be some of the most neglectful parenting that I've come across in this series. Yes, there have been some terrible people who have tried to take other people's things and do other horrible things like that, but not one person yet has put their own child's life in danger just so they could sit on their phone and check their text messages. It's kind of sad to say this, but your own daughter deserves better. So, my sister-in-law has one child. He's 8 years old. She does everything for him, e.g. he still gets his meals put in the fridge to cool down so that he doesn't throw a tantrum having to wait for it to cool down. I know that it's probably not as big as a lot of stories I see on here, but I wanted to vent about it anyway to see if others agree. So my husband's mum is quite wealthy, but she's humble, buying only what she needs and doesn't own anything extravagant. She has an iPad that's a couple of years old and uses it for Facebook and Pinterest, etc. It works fine. She often lets the 8-year-old use it for games when he's at her house bored. This one time he's using it, it freezes because he has so many games open and he throws it down on the floor and chucks this huge tantrum because the iPad isn't working. Instead of telling him off, my sister-in-law just says, "I think it's time for Nana to get a new iPad." Tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's so disrespectful. I would have smacked his ass and sent him to timeout. If you're not happy with someone else's things, don't use them. The iPad was not damaged, but that's not the point. It seems pretty obvious that this is completely the mother's fault. She still babies him at 8 years old, and it seems like he expects he can get whatever he wants in life whenever he wants it. It's one thing to be entitled around random people and people that you don't care about, but when it comes to your family and trying to rip off your own family, that's just disgusting. Rather than sponging off family members and other people, why don't you just go and get it yourself next time? That would be the more respectful thing to do. Alright everyone, that is that for today's video. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoy the video. Sorry if I wasn't as enthusiastic or upbeat today. I'm probably still a couple of days off being 100% right. I just know I'm well enough to make these videos and I really do want to push them out for you. But that is that for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and I'll see you all tomorrow for some nice girls. Bye.